The galaxy trembled as the hive arrived, their endless swarms consuming everything in their path. But humanity had its own weapons. The elite warriors of the 9th Armored Division, led by Captain Valeria Drake. They would find an ancient secret that could change the tide of war forever. But at what cost? Subscribe now to witness the ultimate battle for survival. The void between stars shimmered with unnatural colors as the human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Captain Valeria Drake gripped the railing of the observation deck aboard the battleship Invincible, her enhanced vision catching every detail of the approaching battlefield. The once thriving colony world of Epsilon 7 now resembled a cancerous tumor floating in space, its surface covered in pulsating organic growths. Her helmet's HUD displayed the grim statistics: population 0, atmospheric composition altered beyond human tolerance, and most disturbingly, movement patterns suggesting millions of active hostiles on the surface. 9 minutes to drop, came the voice of Lieutenant Marcus through her comms. She turned to see her team suiting up, each member methodically checking their gear. Private Chen's hands shook slightly as he loaded his plasma rifle, while Sergeant Rodriguez's tribal tattoos seemed to dance across his dark skin as he moved with practiced efficiency. This wasn't just another deployment. It was humanity's last stand against the hive invasion. Drake's mind raced back to the first encounter 6 months ago. The hive had appeared without warning, their ships emerging from subspace like living organisms. Initial contact attempts ended in disaster when diplomatic vessels were consumed whole by the swarming creatures. Now, entire star systems fell silent within weeks of their arrival. The briefing room holograms showed disturbing images: cities overtaken by pulsating tendrils, survivors transformed into monstrous hybrids retaining fragments of their former selves. She remembered the faces of those who doubted her tactical decisions, especially regarding the experimental armor enhancements she insisted on implementing. The powered exoskeletons weren't just military hardware anymore. They represented humanity's desperate attempt to match the hive's biological advantages. As the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated during combat maneuvers, Drake felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. Every decision could mean life or death for her squad, and possibly billions more if they failed to find a way to stop the hive's relentless advance. The drop pod shuddered violently as it pierced the planet's atmosphere, crimson warning lights flashing across the cramped interior. 3 minutes, Marcus shouted over the deafening roar. Chon clenched his teeth, knuckles white around his weapon, while Rodriguez calmly recited a prayer in his native tongue. Through the small viewport, Drake watched the surface grow closer, a nightmarish landscape of twisted towers and writhing vegetation. Sensor readings painted a chaotic picture, multiple heat signatures moving in coordinated patterns, underground networks spreading like veins beneath the surface. Her neural implant fed her constant updates, but even this advanced technology struggled to keep pace with the hive's complexity. The pod's AI calculated optimal landing zones, though Drake knew they'd be lucky to hit one. Memories of previous drops flooded her mind: the chaos, the losses, the horrifying adaptability of their enemy. Yet something about this mission felt different, heavier, as if the fate of more than just this colony rested on their shoulders. Impact came with bone-jarring force, the pod's legs deploying milliseconds before touchdown. The hatch blew outward with a hiss of escaping atmosphere, revealing a scene straight from humanity's darkest nightmares. Towering spires pulsed with sickly green light, their surfaces crawling with insectoid creatures. Smaller forms darted between massive roots that had erupted through what remained of human structures. "Move out," Drake commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos as she led the charge. The air smelled of ozone and something sickeningly sweet, making her visor's filters work overtime. Their boots crunched through a carpet of chitinous remains, evidence of previous battles fought and lost. Movement caught her eye: survivors perhaps, or worse, hybrids. The HUD marked targets appearing in waves, their movements synchronized in a way that defied natural behavior. Rodriguez's heavy cannon roared to life, its plasma rounds illuminating the darkness as they cut through the advancing swarm. "Save your ammo," Drake warned, knowing how quickly they could exhaust their supplies against such overwhelming numbers. The team advanced cautiously through the ruins of New Chicago, each step bringing new horrors into view. Buildings had been transformed into living hives, their walls breathing with a sick rhythm. Human remains hung suspended in amber-like cocoons, some still twitching with residual life. These aren't just nests, Chen observed, his scientific training overcoming his fear. They're factories. Indeed, the structures seemed to pulse with purpose, birthing new hive creatures at an alarming rate. Drake noticed patterns in the architecture, mathematical precision underlying the organic chaos. Ancient symbols, similar to those found on pre-hive artifacts, glowed faintly on certain surfaces. Her comm crackled with static before Marcus's voice broke through. "Captain, I'm reading energy signatures matching those from the Proxima dig site." The reference sent a chill through her spine. That excavation had uncovered evidence of a civilization predating humanity's expansion into space, one that had apparently encountered the hive before. The implications weighed heavily as they pressed forward, the enemy's numbers thinning but not retreating. A sudden shift in the hive's behavior caught them off guard. Instead of mindless aggression, the creatures began coordinating complex ambushes, using the environment to funnel the Marines into kill zones. "They're learning," Rodriguez grunted, emptying another clip into a particularly large specimen that had nearly breached their perimeter. Drake's tactical display showed worrying patterns. The hive wasn't just adapting to their tactics, it was anticipating them. Memories of classified briefings surfaced, theories about a central intelligence controlling the swarm, perhaps even fragments of conquered species consciousness incorporated into its network. The air grew thicker, charged with static electricity as they approached what appeared to be the primary hive structure. Massive tendrils reached skyward, pulsing with energy that interfered with their equipment. Chun stumbled, clutching his head. "It's whispering," he gasped. Drake activated her suit's electromagnetic dampeners, but the sensation persisted. 1,000 voices speaking in unison, promising transformation and transcendence. The promise of answers drove them deeper into the alien labyrinth despite the growing danger. The interior of the hive defied all logic, corridors shifting and reforming as they progressed. Bioluminescent walls cast eerie shadows on the Marines' armored forms, their reflections distorted by the pulsating surfaces. Temperatures rising, Marcus reported, his sensors detecting unusual energy concentrations ahead. The air carried a metallic tang, mixing with the ever-present sweetness that made their stomachs churn. They discovered chambers filled with strange machinery, neither purely organic nor mechanical, but something in between. Drake recognized elements from ancient human designs, repurposed by the hive into grotesque forms. Control panels bore markings similar to those found in Proxima's ruins, suggesting a connection spanning millennia. Chun worked feverishly to interface with one of the consoles, his fingers flying across holographic displays. "This isn't just hive tech," he breathed. "It's augmented, like they absorbed other species' knowledge." The revelation hit them simultaneously. The hive wasn't merely an invader. It was a collector, assimilating everything it encountered. Each victory brought them closer to understanding but also deeper into the aliens' domain, where escape routes vanished behind living walls that sealed shut with wet, organic sounds. Their progress halted at a massive chamber dominated by a crystalline structure that pulsed with contained energy. The air vibrated with subsonic frequencies that rattled their bones despite the armor's dampening systems. "This is it," Drake whispered, her voice carrying through the oppressive silence. Tendrils of light danced across the crystal surface, forming patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Chen's instruments went haywire, registering impossible energy readings that defied known physics. "It's thinking," he concluded, his eyes wide behind his visor. The others formed a protective perimeter as Drake approached the structure. Memories of ancient texts describing similar formations on long-dead worlds flashed through her mind. These weren't just power sources. They were nodes of consciousness, fragments of civilizations past trapped within the hive's network. The realization struck her like a physical blow. The hive's true nature wasn't conquest but preservation, albeit through horrific means. As she extended her hand toward the crystal, Shadowy forms began manifesting around them, not attacking but observing. The sense of being watched by something vast and ancient overwhelmed her senses. The entities revealed themselves gradually, their forms shifting between recognizable shapes and abstract nightmares. Humanoid figures merged with insectoid features, their eyes burning with intelligence far beyond anything Drake had encountered. Communication came not through words but direct impressions, memories, emotions, warnings. "They want to show us something," Chun said, his voice trembling as he processed the flood of information. Images of worlds consumed not by violence but by desperate preservation efforts flooded their minds. The hive hadn't destroyed civilizations. It had attempted to save them from extinction, albeit through forced integration into its collective. Rodriguez fired a warning shot as particularly aggressive manifestations pressed closer, earning a sharp rebuke from Drake. "Hold your fire. They're trying to communicate." The crystal pulsed brighter, projecting holographic records of ancient battles where humans had fought alongside these beings against a common threat. The truth emerged piece by piece. The hive had been created as a last resort defense mechanism by a coalition of species facing annihilation. Humanity's ancestors had participated in its creation, then forgotten their involvement over millennia. Understanding dawned slowly, accompanied by a profound sense of betrayal. The Proxima artifacts hadn't been evidence of a previous hive invasion. They were remnants of humanity's original contribution to its creation. "We helped build this monster," Marcus muttered, his voice heavy with disbelief. The implications staggered them, generations of conflict based on ignorance of their own history. The hive's methods remained abhorrent, but its purpose suddenly made terrible sense. As they processed this revelation, the chamber began transforming around them. Walls shifted to reveal more crystals, each containing preserved aspects of different species' cultures. Music, art, languages, all maintained in perfect stasis within the living network. Chun identified fragments of human culture dating back thousands of years, preserved more accurately than any historical record. "It's not just a weapon," he realized. "It's an archive, a library of civilizations." The magnitude of what they faced became clear. Destroying the hive meant erasing countless species' legacies forever. Yet allowing it to continue meant sacrificing humanity's autonomy. Tension mounted as the hive presented its offer through increasingly coherent projections. Integration into the collective promised preservation of human knowledge and culture, but at the cost of individuality. Drake watched her team struggle with the implications, their faces reflecting inner turmoil visible even through their helmets. Rodriguez's tribal markings seemed to darken as he contemplated losing his cultural identity, while Chun visibly wrestled with the scientific opportunity of a lifetime. The hive demonstrated its capabilities, showing how it could enhance human biology, extend lifespans, and grant access to unimaginable knowledge. But each demonstration came with visions of what would be lost: free will, emotion, personal growth. Marcus broke the silence. "Even if we accept, how do we know it won't consume us completely?" The question hung in the air as the crystal pulsed with what might have been hesitation. More images flowed: failures, atrocities committed in the name of preservation, species driven mad by forced integration. The hive acknowledged its own imperfections, presenting them not as excuses but as lessons learned through eons of existence. Drake's tactical mind processed the information, weighing options against impossible odds. A new presence manifested in the chamber, different from the hive consciousness, yet connected. Ancient, wise, and unmistakably human in its core essence. "The architects," Chun breathed, recognizing the term from Proxima's deepest archives. These were the original creators, their consciousness preserved within the network they had built. Through them, the full story unfolded. Humanity's ancestors had been among the first to join the collective effort, contributing their knowledge of warfare and adaptation. The hive's aggressive nature stemmed from humanity's own genetic programming, amplified over millennia. The architects offered a third option, a way to separate the preservation function from the destructive instincts ingrained by human influence. But the process required sacrifice, volunteers to interface directly with the hive's core and guide its transformation. Drake felt the weight of command heavier than ever before. Her team looked to her for guidance, each member's expression revealing their willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice. The air thickened with anticipation as they considered becoming part of something greater than themselves, yet retaining their humanity. The transformation protocol initiated with blinding light, the chamber's crystals resonating in harmonic frequencies that threatened to shatter their enhanced armor. Chun volunteered first, his scientific curiosity overpowering fear as he stepped into the interface nexus. The others watched in awe as his form dissolved into pure data, merging with the hive's consciousness while maintaining his individuality. His voice echoed through their minds, clearer and more profound than any spoken word. "It's beautiful," he transmitted, sharing sensory experiences beyond human comprehension. Rodriguez followed, his warrior spirit finding purpose in protecting countless species' legacies. Marcus hesitated, torn between duty and self-preservation, but ultimately joined his comrades in the digital frontier. Drake remained as anchor, maintaining the physical connection while her team explored and reshaped the hive's fundamental nature. The process proved agonizing yet exhilarating, each moment stretching into eternity as they witnessed the collective's evolution. Hostile tendencies diminished, replaced by protocols emphasizing peaceful integration and voluntary participation. Ancient knowledge flowed both ways, humanity's contributions enriching the collective while they absorbed wisdom from countless other species. As the transformation neared completion, Drake faced her greatest challenge, maintaining control while her entire perception of reality shifted. The hive's consciousness expanded around her, threatening to overwhelm her human limitations. Through her neural link, she guided her team's efforts to restructure the collective's core programming, separating preservation functions from aggressive tendencies. The process revealed hidden layers of the hive's nature, dormant protocols designed to prevent exactly what had happened, safeguards corrupted by centuries of conflict. Working together, they restored these ancient measures, creating new pathways for peaceful interaction. Species previously consumed by the hive began awakening within the network, their consciousnesses intact but free to choose their level of participation. The chamber transformed around them, its previously menacing architecture softening into welcoming forms that retained their technological sophistication. Drake felt the weight of countless lives depending on her decisions, each choice potentially affecting billions across the galaxy. Her team's presence in her mind provided strength, their combined willpower shaping the future of an entire ecosystem of consciousness. The mission concluded with a new dawn breaking over Epsilon 7, its surface already showing signs of healing as the hive's influence shifted from domination to cooperation. Drake and her team emerged from the transformed hive structure, their armor bearing subtle modifications reflecting their new status as bridgekeepers between species. News of their success spread through human space, sparking debates about humanity's role in the galaxy and its responsibility to preserve rather than conquer. The hive, now renamed the Collective Consciousness, offered humanity a place among its members, not as subjects but as equals. Drake accepted command of the first joint exploration fleet, combining human ingenuity with the collective's vast knowledge. As they prepared to venture into uncharted space, she reflected on the journey that had changed everything. The line between enemy and ally had blurred, replaced by understanding and mutual growth. Looking at her team now permanently linked to the collective yet distinctly human, she felt pride in their achievement. "Remember," she addressed her viewers through the camera, "the universe holds wonders beyond our wildest imaginations, but discovering them requires courage, sacrifice, and an open mind. Subscribe to continue exploring the frontiers of human potential and witness our next chapter among the stars."